Well, welcome to the Tech Talk Show, an hour of news, views, and discussion. Dan, welcome back. You're back after a little break.
A small sabbatical.
A small sabbatical, yeah. Was it good?
Yeah, lovely time, thank you. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice to have you back as well. In the studio, we've got Rich Walker. Rich, welcome.
Hi.
And Rich comes from Shadow Robot, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're also joined by John Naughton from Concorde Security. John, thank you for joining us on the show as well. And we're going to talk to you a little bit later on about security monitoring, management, and stuff like that. So that's great. So we're now joined on the show by John Naughton. John, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Hi, John. Hi.
So Concorde Security is your company. Tell us a little bit about Concorde Security and the services and things you supply.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're a new startup here in the UK. Actually, set up January this year here, but we're actually a wholly owned subsidiary of Concorde Security, who are based in Singapore, and it's probably best if I tell you a little bit about the history of.
Yeah, definitely.
That sort of tell us how we've arrived in the UK. Concorde was set up just over 20 years ago in Singapore, and set up as your traditional man guarding company by a guy called Alan Chua. And so he spent his first 18 years providing static guards, as we call them, to buildings in Singapore.
So like more conventional in terms of personnel and those sort of old type security services.
Yeah, that's what you could we'll call it the old type. Yeah, traditional.
Traditional.
Very traditional. There's a building, let's put a man in there. So Alan did that very well, and I think after 18 years he felt he'd taken the company as far as he could, really.
Yeah.
And a couple of things happened. A drastic manpower shortage in Singapore. There's a shortage, about 10,000 guards down, so it's quite serious.
Yeah.
And the government had to do something, so they've put in a number of incentives for people to replace the need for manpower technology. So a couple of things. Alan thought, well, what else can I do with Concorde? Because I think I've taken it, because there's only so far I can take this in Singapore.
Sure.
But he also started to think perhaps there's a better way to protect buildings rather than putting your traditional old school man in a building, especially overnight, and expecting him not to fall asleep, expecting him to be able to cover all of that building by himself, to see every nook and cranny of that. And he thought, well, surely there must be something else he can do. So backed by the government's incentive for technology as a driving force, and his belief that there must be a better way, he actually worked with two of his clients to see what they could actually devise, what could they come up with. And what they came up with is a unique solution which is called IFS in Singapore, which is really a mobile command and control center. And what happens, instead of, let's imagine you've got 10 buildings in an area, and each of these buildings might have one security officer. Well, instead of doing that, what Concorde will do is replace the need for all those officers, set up a network of cameras to protect those buildings, especially the perimeter, so secure from the outside with no need to have somebody on the inside, have the vehicle patrolling all of these buildings and only responding if somebody crosses the perimeter. So there's analytics on the cameras.
Yep.
Concorde have set up their own network using 3G, 4G or TV white space in Singapore as well. So there's three security operatives, or I-men as they call them, intelligent guards, I-guards, based in the vehicle, monitoring the area and responding to the information that actually comes through if they need to.
And that was the first iteration of the remote monitoring type approach.
Yes, there was nothing like this before in Singapore. This was a mobile command and control center, but I think the key to this is the response. Yeah. Because without the response that vehicle provides, it's pretty useless. I think what you've got to look at here is you have to accept, first of all, that the human is the weakest link in the protection of a building, and that's not through any fault of the officer and what they're trying to do. It's just that you can't expect a person not to make a mistake, and you certainly can't expect somebody to be everywhere all the time.
Yeah, or alert for a whole 12-hour shift.
Exactly. And, Alan,
I mean, Dan has trouble concentrating over 10 minutes long, really. I mean, imagine him on a night shift.
What did you say?
Squirrel.
Go on. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
I imagine.
And to expect somebody to sit in front of a number of screens and to try and watch them for periods of 12 hours is not going to happen. And then to expect somebody, if they go off on a patrol, to cover all aspects of that building, where perhaps they're in one location of the building and somebody knows and they can break in on the other side. So you really can't expect that. You have to accept that that's not the best way.
So started with video surveillance as such, or intruder surveillance. I assume that's like sensors and things like that. It's extended beyond that a lot now, hasn't it? So what sort of other things are you putting into the pot in terms of monitoring and looking at over the sort of the emptiness during the empty periods of the building and when it's full as well, I suppose?
Sure. So mainly the video surveillance would happen overnight,
Yep.
and you would have maybe simple analytics with an intrusion detection line, and if somebody crosses it, you can look at what's happened and respond. I think what's developed more is smarter ways to provide that service, really, and what's happening in Singapore is the vehicle now has a drone station, so UAV station built on the top.
Yep.
We also have a security patrolling robot called Adam.
Okay.
And,
We'll come back to Adam in a minute. We'll
yeah,
come back to Adam.
Adam's,
Yeah.
So the idea really is that when the vehicle will turn up to a customer site, the officers don't need to leave the site, because the UAV can go on a scheduled patrol and the images can be monitored back on the vehicle, and then if any action is required, of course, you can see what's happening. You can also have thermal imaging on from the drone, so you can see if anybody is in the area that shouldn't be, or if anybody was there and they've just left. So that's proving very useful.
I assume especially for open compounds or other type, maybe plants or open plant areas. Yeah.
Yeah, very useful in terms of not putting security officers into a dangerous position,
Yeah.
because they no longer have to go off on foot and see what's happening. They use the drone to support that and back up.
Yeah.
Of course, the other thing the vehicle can do is go somewhere else. If you're in a local area, and the drone can still be patrolling a different site, and you can still be monitoring what's happening in that position.
So the drone technology, sorry Dan, you were going to come in. So drone technology improvements really helped you as well, I assume, that the quality, the image, the stability of the platform when it's flying and the ease of flying, I suppose those things are really helping you.
Absolutely, and the fact that you want a drone that doesn't perhaps make too much noise sometimes to alert
True.
people as well.
I was just wondering about the infrastructure. So lots of the drone aside, lots of buildings have their own camera network and everything set up. Do you interface with the existing infrastructure, or do you put your own in place?
Our preference is to put our own in place because it's easier.
Yep.
If you what we're looking at doing is getting people firstly to say, well, look, we need to protect the perimeter. If you protect the perimeter of your building, what happens inside should not necessarily be a problem. But we can interface with what's happening inside the building if we need to. But our priority will be to make sure that the perimeter is the first layer of defence, and that we cover that. The other thing I think where we've made some developments in terms of what the vehicle can offer is really in terms of how it can respond. It's a platform for receiving signals, and we were very pleased earlier this year to present at Liverpool's Sensor City. And they were very interested in how the vehicle could act as a smart response to sensors. So there's a lot of sensor research, and there's lots of sensors in different sectors providing some very useful information.
Give us an example.
Sure, yeah, there's a couple of things. So on building management systems, for example, that would be the obvious one, whereby they might be monitoring temperatures in server rooms. There's flood monitoring, etc. as well. And with that type of information, of course, it's vital that somebody gets to respond to that quickly. So going back to the point about the human not being put in an impossible position, but being in a position where they can analyse the information and then respond to it correctly, that's where we need them to be. I think one of the things that also came out of Liverpool was the various sectors. So we were talking with healthcare and the monitoring of individuals as well, and the response that perhaps you can provide as a check on somebody. Sensors that will monitor a house and will monitor whether the water flow is the same every day, so that if nothing's happened of a morning, why hasn't it? And somebody can investigate that. And there is a need for somebody to respond in that situation as well. So there's a number of sectors and a number of sensors as we develop that the vehicle can actually respond to, because it's covering the area. I mean, we see this as being a smart response to smart buildings.
Yeah.
And that's where we see the future going, because we can receive a multitude of signals and information. And we're a security deterrent, we're very visible, but the next level for us is to be able to take on the extra information and provide that suitable response.
I mean, I suppose, 5 minutes, a reduction in 5-minute response time if you've got a flooded, computer room, or you've got, unwanted actuation of a sprinkler head or something like that, the damage that you could stop would be huge, wouldn't it?
Yeah, damage limitation is really the key. And the advantage we have over, I suppose, what would be a typical solution is that the vehicle is in the area.
Yeah.
What would normally happen is that information would go perhaps to an alarm receiving centre.
They'd phone up the building to see, oh, yeah, we've got this alarm. Do you know what's going on?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we have eyes on site, or we have the information directly through, and we're close because we'll be in that area. Yes, so the possibility for us to get there quicker is real, and we would get there quicker. And the other thing, of course, that we have on the vehicle is storage capability, and the ability to train the security officers as technicians. So if we're working just on one particular site, say a university site, what you'll find is that we can actually have the officers trained specifically to respond to incidents on that site. So if it's a barrier control issue that needs repairing, not only can they attend site, but they can actually fix that as well. They can carry spare parts, and we can also take this to the level of first line maintenance.
Yeah.
So we start to add value where we're not just taking out the need for security officers, but you're cutting down the workload on facilities management, first line maintenance, repairs as well. Working with clients, we can then train the 3 eye guards in the vehicle to understand that site really well and to provide that specific service.
So I assume one is how hard was it to move it, translate it from Singapore to the UK? What were the difficulties you faced there? And particularly, I should think the mobile communication network, was that an issue?
Well, we have just built our first vehicle in the UK, and we exhibited at IFSEC this year at the Excel Arena in June. The vehicle is having a few final modifications. So in answer to your question, I haven't had any major showstoppers yet. The response at IFSEC was fantastic, with everybody telling us this is brilliant. The only thing I will say is, as with a lot of things, everybody says something's brilliant, but I need somebody to then say, it's so brilliant, come on. And as in Singapore, even with government incentives, there's still a mindset of tradition, and there's still a mindset that says this is still the best way to do it. If you said to somebody, would you rather have a security officer inside your building or outside? And that's the question. And for us, we are asking people to take that leap, to say, look, you don't need somebody inside there. You need to put that with us, and we will offer you a better solution by patrolling and responding smartly to what happens. So issue-wise, not yet. Enthusiastic response, yes. And also we have a couple of very interesting places where we're looking at proof of concept now, when the vehicle is available from September.
Okay.
So we're about to try put in this proof in a couple of options we've got on that. So I need to get back to you on were there any mobile communication problems, but at this point it's all good.
That sounds promising. Tell us about Adam then.
Well, I've not met Adam yet, but
no,
I've only seen Adam lives in Singapore at the moment.
Right, okay.
I'm hoping to get a version of Adam here in the near future. So Adam was launched with Concorde in Singapore as part of the overall solution, as part of the IFS solution with the vehicle and with the drone. And he's working on a government site there at the moment where they are looking at working UAV with robot. What you need to do in each case is you need to look at what is the best response to a certain situation, and the UAV will be a better option in some cases than Adam.
Yeah.
And I don't want to upset Adam, but sometimes he has to wait.
Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is, most drones have only got an operating time of 7 to 10 minutes. So I assume Adam can give you a little bit more flexibility.
Yeah. I mean, Adam can go on a set route, set patrol, and very much he could be left on a site while the vehicle is then going to another incident or to go and patrol another site.
Yeah.
So there are advantages there. I think it's I'd say early days. We're working to get the best from Adam and to make sure that he does exactly what he's supposed to do. He's not put in any dangerous situations, and that he makes his way back at the end of the night.
Yeah, you get him. I bet there's a lot of money tied up in that tech as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we've got yes, we've so I know Adam has been to a few exhibitions as well for us, and he's it's one of those things that people are very keen to see and talk about. But we always say to that, it's fantastic, and we love Adam, but we want to make sure that Adam is used correctly on the correct site as well.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that's very similar to in America. They're trialing robotic security guards in some of the malls there.
Yeah,
and they've had problems with stairs.
I'm sure they have.
Yes.
I'm sure they have.
So the right location, definitely.
Yeah, this was the robot that people said tried to end everything by taking a leap into the fountain.
That's right. Yeah.
He was actually called Steve. I found out.
There we go.
So not Marvin.
Steve, no, Steve, not Marvin. No, Steve was sadly couldn't handle the steps.
Yeah.
And apparently steps are very tricky for security patrolling robots.
They're tricky for adults, let's be honest, so let alone a robotic security guard. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people get more information about your company?
Well, they can contact us on our website, which is concordesecurity.co.uk. And there's the contact page on there. Everything's there, and we'd be happy to sort of have a discussion with people about how IFS might be able to support, provide a better solution for them. But we need to obviously look at what the current situation is and make sure that we offer them the best solution.
John, thanks for joining us. It's been great to hear about what's going on. Cheers,
Thanks very much.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Really, really enjoyed it. Thank you, John. Thanks, Rich, and look forward to being involved with the Tech Talk 22. Dan, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
There's more details about Tech Talk 22 on our website, which is techtalkshow.co.uk.
Yeah.
And look forward to speaking to you and for you listening in again soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you.